Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to talk about my research project. The person I decided to do it on was Caleb. So, the reason why, there's a couple. So, the first one is an obvious reason is because Caleb is actually my middle name. So, I thought it'd be cool, like, to research him, since I go by that like every day too. I mean, my first name is Omar, but I go by Caleb. So yeah, I thought it'd be cool to research who Caleb really was in the Bible, and not only that, but I knew about like Caleb and Joshua, and really he was one alongside with Joshua to sit out, and of course encourage Israel to move forward to go into the promised land, the land of Canaan. And so the first verse where Caleb is mentioned is actually in the book of Numbers, is in chapter 13 verse 6, but it was a very short verse. It just mentioned his name. But I believe the most important verse where Caleb is like really identified who he really was, it's in verse 30 in that same chapter, in 13, where he was of course giving good reports about the land of Canaan, and even though everyone else was saying that they were like grasshoppers, but Caleb stood out and said like, no, we can do this, we can go into the land, it's great. And that's also one of the first key points of Caleb. And also another one that I found while I was researching him, that Caleb was one of the first to get like a big land in the promised land, when after 40 years after he already had spied on it. And I think what was so significant about it is because it really just shows, I know it was Joshua who rewarded him, but I really believe it was God who rewarded him for his bravery and his faithfulness. And, speaking of this faithfulness, that brings me to my third point, where I'm sorry, no, Caleb, hello. Where Caleb was actually commended by God because he was one who was very faithful to God. I believe those are the most three important things about Caleb, was that he stood up out of the 12 and the spies that were going into Israel, saying that it was good land and that we should go and that they should go forward into the promised land. Also, is that he was rewarded, and of course he stood out because of his faithfulness. So that is just a short version of who Caleb was in the Old Testament. Thank you very much.